This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to be joined by Dave Coldwell over Zoom. Dave, I know you caught up with Rob last week, so I don't imagine there's much for us to speak about, but there's a big fight coming up this weekend between Daniel Dubois and Joe Joyce. But before we come on to that, how is life?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. Had a good few days in the gym since I've been back from the bubble. Jordan Gill and Lerone are looking very, very good right now. So things are going well. We had some bit of good news, didn't we, yesterday from the government talking about some fans being allowed, gyms being back open, and it's better, isn't it? It's better than where we were like a couple of weeks ago. So fingers crossed, things keep progressing.
We'll obviously come on to those announcements in a little while, but just to kind of go straight into it, Daniel Dubois, Joe Joyce, Dave, it's a huge domestic fight, one which could lead to so many opportunities for either fighter. Win or lose, it could open up a number of doors, but for the winner especially, break it down for me, Dave. How are you expecting the fight to play out?
Mate, do you know what? I love this fight. I've been so excited about this fight. Do you know, a big heavyweight clash between two Brits and two massive fighters, big men, destructive men when they're in the ring. It's not really about skills and looking to outbox each other. These two are just going to be wanting to punch the shit out of each other, basically. This is exciting. I've been looking forward to it for weeks, and now it's fight week. I'm getting more and more into it as well. It's such a tough fight to call because from day one, as soon as it announced, I just thought Dubois smashes him. That's how I thought. And the reason why I think that, or I thought that, was because every fighter Joe Joyce's, in those first couple of rounds, well, all the way through the fight, but the first few rounds especially, before he even gets his punches off as such, he gets nailed. And he don't get nailed like, when you get in touch with a couple of skimming shots and stuff. He gets nailed clean. He's getting right hands landed on him. He's getting up. The guy gets hit. And all I was looking at is, well, if Dubois, who I'm very impressed with, I think his attacking prowess is fantastic. It mixes body and head during mid combination. He's got an unbelievable jab that sets up that right hand, that booming right hand. If he lands early and he's the kind of guy that'll go through the gears, won't be tentative. Once he lands on you, he'll go through the gears. If he lands early and often like that, and I can't see Joyce getting out of those early rounds. But the thing is with Joe Joyce, he's one of those guys that when you watch, you just think, he's strong and he's heavy-handed, but it's too easy to hit. He's got no defense, blah, blah, blah. He looks slow. And you think he can't be all that. But when you look at the effect of his punches that they have on people that he fights, and when you listen to people that have sparred with him and been in the shared a ring with him, good fighters, big, strong fighters, and they tell you about how relentless he is, and he wears you down, and like I said, the effects of the fighters. As soon as he starts landing 3 or 4 body shots on these heavyweights, you see him sort of like start sapping the energy out of them, and he can punch, and he's strong, and he's relentless, and he's almost like he warms up to the task. Even when he's getting hit, he warms up to it. The only thing is that I just can't get my head out of him taking Dubois' kind of punches. Taking, a lot of the guys that he's fought, to be fair, even even the higher level that he's fought at so far, they're coming to give it a go, and they're not expecting to win. Daniel Dubois is going to be expecting to beat him. Daniel Dubois has got lofty ambition himself. He's not a fighter that's just going to come in and just try and pinch a few rounds or try and get through to the distance. He's going to be looking to be explosive and looking to knock Joyce out himself. But I'm speaking to people that are around Joe at the moment, and they're all really confident. They're all saying about actually he's improving. He's showing, and the thing is that he's got is Ismail Salas, who I really rate as a coach. I really rate him as a coach. He's one of my favorite coaches in the game. I think he's definitely one of the best coaches that there's been. So for Salas to put his time and energies into him, he's got to see something in him, man. And also, I would imagine he'll be improving him. So that makes me think as well, can he get through that initial onslaught? Can he get through those first few rounds? I don't know. I'm genuinely. This is why I'm so excited about the fight. I don't know which way it's going to go. Me just spouting off shit and just saying, I think it sounds like. Originally, yes, I was very clear-minded. Dubois wins. Dubois smashes him. But, I don't know whether it's Sam Jones getting in my ear and just chatting shit so much and telling me how great that Joe's looking. But then other people are telling me the same thing as well. And you think, oh, okay, well, and yes, we don't know what Dubois is like or I don't know. Obviously, other people have seen him, but we don't know what Dubois is like when he's punched back as such and put under pressure. And if Joe gets into his stride, he's relentless. He's basically, the two. I look at Dubois and I just think, you're a beast. I look at Joe-Joyce, and the first thing that comes to my head is Terminator. He's just one of those guys that just keeps on coming. So I'm excited. I can't wait. And I'm sitting on fence. Dubois early or Joyce if he gets out of them first 4 rounds.
That right there, Dave. Either Dubois early or Joe-Joyce later on, or maybe points on Joyce seems to be the general consensus from most people. Do you think it could go any other way, or do you think it is just one of those fights? One of those two outcomes is most probably going to happen.
I don't know. From what I've seen of both men, no, I think that's how it's going to be. I just think that Dubois and his team are probably looking at Joe and thinking, you get it early. Fucking, I'm going to hit you early. And as soon as I start landing my big shots on you, I'm going to go through the levels. I'm going to go through and I'm going to get rid of you. Surely that, he's a good body puncher. So even if the shots aren't dropping him or anything like that, they're going to be taking a lot out of Joe. But Joe this is why I'm excited about the fight, because it's almost like I've got two personalities in my head. I'm arguing with each other when I'm trying to pick a winner. General consensus is Dubois. Dubois is fresh. Dubois is young. He's more, he's well-rounded, and he's an outstanding prospect. But all outstanding prospects come up and face somebody the first big test. This is his first big test. This is the first real fight, really. Where it's not a case of, how many rounds will it take Dubois to get rid of him in? This is a real test. It's a real fight. And they say, like I said, the same thing goes with Joe, but look at I know it's amateur boxing, but look at what Joe did as an amateur. But like I said, Joe-Joyce is one of these fighters where I look at, and you look at him and you think, he doesn't look that great. But then you get in a ring with him, and he's so effective, and he is good, and he does do things better than what people expect him to do. He's one of those sort of fighters. There's been plenty of fighters down the line, down in time, that to look at, you don't think they do anything exceptional, in the case in a boxing sense, but they're so effective at what they do, and they end up being world champions. They end up being, being great fighters. So I don't know. I'm leaning towards Dubois now. Before I was very clear it was Dubois, but do you know what? If you want me to be honest, I'd love to see Joe-Joyce do it. I've not met. I don't know either of them, but I've met Joe-Joyce a couple of times, and I like the guy. I've never met Dubois, so as a fan, I'm going to sit down. I'm just going to enjoy the fight. I just want to see a great tear up. I want to see an all-out brawl. But would I want? I would want Joe Joyce to win because I've met him. I like him. He's a friend of Lerone Richards. Sam Jones, obviously, who I work with, is Lerone's management. So for their team, I hope that it wins. But as a fan of boxing, I like Dubois, and I think he's the future so far of British heavyweight boxing. I think he's a great prospect. So really, I'm not bothered who wins, but I just want to see a great fight. And I think we're going to see a great fight. I can't see how this fails to be exciting. It cannot fail to be exciting, you know.
Who would the win look more impressive for, Dave? Would it be for Daniel to stop or to take Joe to points? However, who's to win in Daniel's case? Would it be, him beating the former Olympian, former amateur star in Joe Joyce, who's
Either.
times, or in Joe's case, stopping the young, hungry, upcoming lion who is, as you said, seen as a future star of the heavyweight division?
It's a great win for either of them because they're at that point in the career where it's the big domestic clash. It's the big test for them both. I don't buy into this where, oh, whoever wins this is ready for a world title and all that crap, or getting. No, it's a domestic fight because neither of them fought somebody at a world level that's fresh, that's not shot worn, that's not there as an opponent just to test the young gun coming through. So don't buy into that. But it's a massive win for whoever it is. It's a great win for whoever it is because Joe beating the hot young prospect that everyone's calling the next heir apparent to bear the flag for the UK in terms of heavyweight boxing, and Dubois proved himself against such a relentless, tough, strong fighter who's very dangerous and who's proven himself in the amateur game, and not just the amateur game. Whoever he sparred with, they've always said about Joe is he's so fit, he just does not stop, so heavy-handed, and he's so tough. They ask a lot of questions of somebody when you go in against somebody like that. So it's a great win for either of them, and it's a win that then start having the other world level contenders and things like that. But I don't think it's the ready to be fighting. Your top 3 and 4 heavyweights. Yeah, I'd say just below that, top 10s.
If you was guiding them, Dave, and for whoever was to be victorious on Saturday, what would you see as kind of the plan? Who would be the ideal next step up for them, with the European title being on the line as well on Saturday night?
Just still some experience. It's a little bit easier for Dubois because he's so young. With Joe, you kind of need to get him into those big fights ASAP. And with Joe's style as well, just lay him off at leash. Just get whatever. But with someone like Dubois, I would still say, because he's so young and he's such a talent, I would still say developing fights. Guys that are gonna he's gonna learn from it, but guys that are turning up to win that I still expect to beat Daniel Dubois. I wouldn't want him to go back into this. Let's get a faded name that's just there for the paycheck anymore. A faded name, yeah, but a guy that's still operating at a good level and still, trying to win, still got the ego that he comes to win. And then rather than comes to give it a go, and as soon as he starts feeling a bit of power, then goes into that journeyman mode and then just thinks that's it. So, all the contenders, let's have it,
Something that I'm sure you'll be relieved to hear as well, Dave, is I saw a tweet go out from Chris McKenna earlier saying that both fighters tested negative for COVID. Of his past
Thank
month
God
or
for that.
of his past month or so, it seems to be a running theme where a lot of fights we've unfortunately lost to positive tests. It seems to be, it may well be only a matter of time, unfortunately, where we do lose a big fight. Thankfully, it doesn't seem to be this one. Relieved, it just seems to be the word.
Yeah, because we're excited about a fight. There's nothing worse than when you're excited for a big fight and then you get there, it's fight week, and then it's off. Oh, that's a nightmare. But it's boxing. It's what happens with injuries. But now in this day and age, with the COVID testing, again, it's happening, and it's frustrating. but it's part of it now, and we just have to be so careful now when we're preparing for fights, when we're it's even a risk when you're sparring, getting sparring partners in. You have to get sparring partners in, but you're playing Russian roulette, because are you gonna get it off them? You don't have to be. It doesn't seem as though virtually, the amount of athletes, whether it's footballers or boxers, that keep failing these tests, they don't know that they've got it when they're failing these tests. So it's even more frustrating, because it's like the silent carriers as such, and then they turn along to fight week and fail the COVID test, and the fight's off. But all you can do is be as careful as you can be, and fingers crossed, we keep on at least keeping the main events. I mean, I'm gutted for it's a nightmare when the main events get knocked off. But you're talking about the young kids coming through, or the other fighters on the bill. They're not on the massive money because on the undercard, they're not on the massive money, but they put everything into the camps and things like that, and costs, living expenses, S&C coaches, nutritionists, and things like that. Get to fight week, been dieting and everything, training, doing everything, living the life, and they fail a test, and they feel great, they feel fantastic. I mean, look at what happened with I know it was a main event. It was Jazza and Ryan Walsh last time out. Jazza fell at $1 million, and then they failed the test, and it's like, it's just frustrating, and it's for guys that are lower down the bill. It's their big opportunity, their big spot. It's heartbreaking.
Moving away from Dubois-Joyce, Dave, on Friday night over in the States, we see Danny Jacobs versus Guy Brazado. Danny, a heavy favourite heading into that, expected to come through relatively comfortably. But with that in mind, given what he's been through in his life, and given the past 8 or 9 months with the COVID situation, is it important that he does it in quite a spectacular fashion, effectively, to establish himself as a super middleweight who's there trying to make his name to become a 2-weight world champion?
Well, regardless of the COVID and all the delays and everything, if we were fighting Guy Brazado, he needs to be putting on a statement as it is. This is a man that's been in with Canelo. This is a man that's been fighting at the top sort of level. I love Guy Brazado as a fighter. I think he's a great fighter. He's a great gatekeeper. But Danny Jacobs isn't supposed to be fighting gatekeepers, so he has to go in and put on a performance against Brazado, a dominant performance. And really, although it's probably unlikely, but if you team Jacobs, it'd be nice to get a stoppage, because that's a statement. If he just goes through the motions to get a points win, it's like, okay.
Dave, earlier on in this interview, you mentioned as well the government kind of easing fans back into sporting arenas. Still waiting to see what tiers every city is going to be put into, but how much of a relief is it just to kind of see there is some form of progress with getting fans back at live events?
Oh, massively. Sport needs fans. Listen, I've watched nearly every football game that's been on Sky and BT. And without the crowds, it's taken a lot away from the game. Boxing, I've been at 3 fight camps, 2 of the Wembley shows, and the production, everything is fantastic. It's been brilliant, but again, there's no atmosphere. There's no fans, so there's no fans to interact with. There's not the buzz of the crowd and stuff in between fights or in between rounds, And then when the fighters win, I feel sorry for them. It's the most awkward thing in the world, because it's almost like a party for one. It's like they're wanting to buzz, but they can't really go because there's no interaction as such. And because it's so quiet and so silent, it's like every word that you're saying is picked up, or it's awkward. It's fantastic that they carry on boxing and boxing's going on and they can carry on moving the careers, but it does take away. We need fans, And also, importantly, it's the first step with getting a few fans in, and then hopefully we get more fans in, and then smaller boxing can start again. Because right now, smaller boxing's dead. And what that means, unfortunately, is that the fighters that are small hole boxers, their careers are just fucked. Are just standing still completely, you know. And a lot of these kids are they rely on the boxing as a wage and as a living, and they've got none. So they're screwed. And a lot of these guys have got families to feed, and they're panicking. And, you know, are they going to have to go away and get a job and try and get a job in these times? You know, when everyone's laying off people, it's very hard to get a job. So it's had masses and masses of wide-reaching consequences not having fans in sporting events. And so the ball started rolling. We can start having some. Yes, it's not going to be ideal because it's only small numbers, but at least it's starting moving in the right direction, and we're moving now. So perhaps, please, can we build on it, and then, you know, fingers crossed we get back to it. Because when you turn on, you know, or when you watch a fight or on YouTube, or you turn on a show that's been showed from a year ago, 2 years ago, and you hear that buzz and that atmosphere of the crowd, I miss that, man. I miss it.
We all do, Dave. We all do. Hopefully, as you say, is the start of the journey back to those better times. Just want to touch on the past weekend as well. We saw a brilliant performance from Conor Benn against Benn-Formella. How impressive was he in your eyes, Dave?
Very, very. You know, right from he looks so fast. His head movement, his body movement, he's improving so much as a boxer. Can't stress how much he's improving. You know, he's not the finished article. He's 24 years old, so he's still a baby, but he's learning on the job because he didn't have this, you know, big amateur experience. You know, he's learning on the job, and I think Tony Sims has done a fantastic job with him, you know, in developing him. And it's really good to watch. It's really good to see. And I'm a big fan of his because last weekend it was 30 years that I've been in boxing, and I started boxing 2 days after the first Ben Eubank fight, and then like 30 years later, literally today, I'm stood behind Andy Scott doing a bit of work for Sky at the weigh-in, and he's interviewing Conor Benn, and I'm looking at Conor, I'm seeing his mannerisms, his face, what he's saying, how he's saying it, and I just see his dad. And it's because I was such a big fan of Nigel Benn, it's kind of like it transfers to Conor because it's the same sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? And he's exciting. He's a kid. Yes, he'll make mistakes, and, you know, like his dad did, he'll make mistakes and he'll get clipped with shots. And, you know, I'm not saying he's going to win every fight, but I tell you what, it's exciting, and he puts it all online, and he tries his absolute hardest. And I like that, you know. And I said before the fight, I just want to see him keep winning, because I think for boxing as well, boxing needs. I'm not saying he is now. I'm not yet. But what I'm saying is, boxing needs superstars, and this kid's got the potential to be a superstar in this country. You know, transcending the sport, people knowing who he is. You know, he has a lot of pressure and a lot of there's a lot of haters and detractors because of who his dad is. That's not his fault. You don't choose. You know what I mean? You don't choose who your dad is. And what I like about him, and what I liked about that interview after the fight, he doesn't hide from the fact that he's a rich kid. He doesn't hide from the fact that, you know, he's privileged. He drives his Range Rover or whatever car he fancies that way. He doesn't hide from that. But also, he doesn't hide from hard work because of that. He doesn't use that as an escape. He works really, really hard. And what you find sometimes is people that have that pressure on them because the dad's so successful, they use that as the energy and the fuel. Look at Eddie with Barry. You know, again, it's our jobs as parents to create opportunities for us kids, so us kids don't have to work as hard as us to get that opportunity. But when they get that opportunity, they have to be good enough. I said to my kids, you know, I will do my very best to open doors for you, but you've got to be good enough to walk through them. And if you're not, you'll not make it, and you'll not succeed at it. So they have to work hard anyway. And Conor Benn, he works so hard, you know, and no, he's not the the most naturally gifted, talented fighter, but neither was his dad. But his dad worked his bollocks off, and look at what his dad did. And I'm not saying he's going to be as successful as that, but all I'm saying is I'm a fan of his because he gives it absolutely everything. He's quite open and honest about what he does, and it's fun to watch and he's exciting. And I'm not being funny. If you don't like characters like that, if you don't have a spark and interest in characters like that, I don't know what you want, because it's like growing up, it was the Eubank. Which do you want a boxer? Do you want a fighter? Do you like Eubank's personality? Do you like Ben's personality? Whether you like them or you don't, the spark and interest. So the spark and interest in the sport, they're getting people talking about the sport. So it's good. All characters are good. We need big characters in boxing, and he's the next big character. And so I hope he keeps on winning.
Ben Kelly, 2021, Dave. Do you think it's the right time for them to meet yet, or a bit more time for them to kind of get to that point? What are your thoughts?
I like Josh Kelly. I think on a boxing level, ability level, I think the kid's class. I always have done. I watched him through, and I see what what Adam's doing with him, and he's a very, very good fighter. And if you want me to be honest, I think Connor's wanted it for a long time. He's wanted it, but right from when he mentioned it, it's like when I just think that his style's all wrong for him. But it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that Ben, not on the same level, but it's kind of like that Ben Eubank sort of rivalry where you've got a boxer against a fighter. The man who wants to come and tear you up and knock you out, and the man on the other side who's going to want to take you to school and teach you a lesson. It's like that. I'm not saying it's the same level. People jumping on it. Oh, compare it. No, I'm not comparing it to that in that respect. I'm just saying it's kind of like that. And it's like everybody needs a big rival. And maybe this is them two that in this era, they have that rivalry that catapults them and obviously earns them a lot of money. But the profile and gets people talking in the sport and talking out of the sport, reaches them out of the sport. This might be their fight, but it's a very, very, listen, Kelly's got to get past Avanesian. I don't even know why you've asked me that question. This is for that fighter, for Josh Kelly, that's a tough fight. It's like, forget about talking about Conor Ben. He's got Avanesian, and that will tell us a lot about Josh Kelly. I think we got to remember, Josh seems to get a hard ride because he's flash, because he's got an air of arrogance. I'm not saying he's arrogant; he's got an air of arrogance. But with that sort of style, you tend to get that. You tend to have that with fighters with that sort of flash boxing ability, a high level of ring intelligence, and you have that swagger. That's not a bad thing, because he's got the talent, and he look at the level he's boxed at already. How many fighters he's had? He got a draw, but who did he get a draw against for the amount of fighters he had? The kid's talented and he's been moved fast. So I think he gets a bit of a raw deal because of his swag and things like that. But again, it's another personality. So he's got a bit quiet lately, over the last year or so. But he's another personality in the game that can just really, really transcend. But this fight we have in Avanesian, that's a real fight. That's the fight that people need to be talking about, not Conor Ben, because he has to get past David Avanesian, who's proven at world level, who's proven what kind of man he is, what kind of fighter he is. He's the man that'll be wanting to take Josh Kelly into deep waters, and I'm excited for that fight. That's a great fight. If he gets through that, there we go. Then we can talk about a Conor Ben fight and whether it's too early or not and things like that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Dave, just moving on to one of my final two topics to touch on. During last week, when you was in the bubble, we had the announcement of Lerone Richards teaming up with Matchroom. Talk to me about kind of the plan that Eddie and Matchroom have put in place for Lerone now and moving forwards?
Just we're looking to get out before Christmas. Just waiting for that to be sorted and everything. And then get him active. I'm his coach. I want him active. You know, we're looking at going down the European and then into the fringe world level sort of routes and developing him that way. He's late 20s now, so he's got to get a move on. You know, and while the talent's there and the freshness is there, the sharpness is there, he's got to take advantage and go up through the gears. It's phenomenal talent. It's great talent, and he's just about experience, developing, learning, and developing that in the ring. So yeah, I'm excited to be working with him. I'm excited that he's now, you know, he's got a platform there that can boost his profile and get people talking about him.
And final thing I want to touch on, Dave, is I imagine you, like all of us, will watch it, whether it be happily or just to.
No, if you're asking me about Tyson and Roy Jones, no, I won't watch it. I won't, because for the simple, I can say that truthfully, because after was it Danny Williams? I think Danny, after he got beat by Danny Williams, I stopped watching Mike Tyson. I never saw and I used to watch all his fights. I used to get up in the morning, watch all his fights. After Roy Jones got beat by Glenn Johnson, I stopped watching him. They're two of my heroes. I don't want to see them when they're past the sell-by date and when Tyson, just, he was an old man when he was getting beat after, Danny Williams and beyond. Kevin McBride beat him. I've got no interest in watching him fight again. I want to remember Mike Tyson when he was fucking brutal and when he was exciting and ferocious. I want to remember Mike Tyson as that. Roy Jones, he was the greatest fighter ever. Oh man, he was unbelievable at his best. Unbelievable. To watch these guys towards the end of their careers was sad. I'd you see a clip, I'd see, and it's like, I'm gutted to see that. So do I want to watch him now? Now they look like old men. No, I'm not watching it. No, and it's nothing to do. If it was free, I wouldn't watch it because I'm such a big fan of what they were, and it's nothing compared to what they are now. I don't want to see that. I think it's sad. And fair play to them. That's what they want to do. Fair play. But it's great when you see them on pads and they look great. Fucking hell. Anybody can look great on pads if you train. You drill. It's great. Pads don't hit back. Pads aren't required to do what a fighter wants you to do. So I'm not bothered. And then I seen all the rules for it and stuff like that.
So I've just got a list here of the reported rules. So the reported rules are 8 2-minute rounds, 12-ounce gloves, no head guards, no knockouts, fight stopped if there's a cut, no official judges or winner, and the WBC have exploiters judging. The scores are unofficial. That's the reported rules that I've just got up.
But that just tells you it's confusion and bullshit, really. There's no winner or anything like that, but they've got judges doing an official scorecard. Okay. Do you know what I mean? It's and I think I'm not a fan of it. Listen, free to do what you want. If you want to watch it, watch it. Not a problem. But you asking me, am I interested? Am I going to watch it? No.
That's fair enough, Dave. We will leave that there, and I will leave you to enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you enjoyed the Manchester United controversial win the past weekend against West Brom, my beloved team.
What? Oh, I thought you were going to talk to me about not so controversial win last night. That's all. Okay. You want to go there? Yeah, 3 points to 3 points, mate. You got we're shit right now. We're hot and cold. We can either be shit or not bad. And yeah, Old Trafford in the league, shit. But Scored 4 goals last night. We're on a roll.
Who knows, Dave? We might be the start of something special then. But
You
yes,
never know. You never know.
it's been a pleasure to catch up with you. Thank you for your time as always, Dave, and I'll catch up with you again soon.
Cheers,
Thank you
mate.
for speaking to Boxing Social.
Cheers, mate.
Top
Nice
man.
one.
Cheers,
Cheers.
Dave. Thank you.